I thought I'd do a quick video on how I hang a shelf. I got some free shelving wood that we're going to throw out here in the building. I went and got some shelving brackets, and I didn't have a pencil, so I marked a level line with the blue tape marks using this at a short level. And went and got some large brackets. These are going to hold guitar cases. And what I did was I put it on the line up the line up here up above, and then I drilled out with my drill very small pilot holes in each of the screw holes. You can see right there. Now the reason I have tape down here is because pre-drilling and driving screws into these walls is going to make a lot of dust. And this is my dust catcher. So I always tend to do this now. So I'm going to drill some screws in there and make sure I hit a stud. I believe there's a stud here because of the paint on the wall leads me to believe that. There's another area over here. So I'm going to give it a shot right now. So you can see I've got the screws in. When I drove them in, it did cause my driver to kick in with the impact driver, which tells me it was going into wood. Otherwise it wouldn't have needed the impact. Unfortunately, they made these holes really large for no reason, and so the screws are going to pop right through. So what I did, I don't have washers with me right now, but I'll probably get some and add washers later. But for now, I drove these at an angle going downward into the wood, downward at an angle, and they are catching the top portion of this metal shelving bracket. So it is fairly secure. I am just going to be hanging empty guitar cases on there for today. I might even hold off until I get the washers before putting anything on this shelf. But yeah, that's how I've done it so far, and I'm going into wood on all three of those screws, so that's what you want. You can see the dust here. That's drywall dust. Sometimes it gets a lot messier than that. And I pre-drilled the hole here because I could see that somebody had already mounted something roughly on this line. And I think this distance is about 2.5 feet over, which will work for the length of what I need. It just so happens that I saw some marks there indicate that there is, you can always measure over 16 inches in 16-inch increments or 24-inch increments from where you started, and then see where you land, and then just, you know, do a little pilot hole and make sure you're hitting wood. You'll be able to tell there'll be little specks of wood inside your drill bit. That's how you can tell if you've gone into a stud. And it feels different too from just going through a thin layer of drywall. It feels a lot easier and kind of punches through once you get through the drywall. But if there's wood, it won't punch through. It'll continue to feel like you're drilling. So hope that makes sense. What I did was, after a pilot hole, I thought there was wood there. I drilled a screw and it did. The impact driver kicked in, so I know it is going into wood. So I am going to be using this as my stud for the second shelving bracket. Now if you have a pencil, you can just mark where those holes should be. I put tiny little drill marks in because I don't have a pencil, and then I pulled this back off. I didn't need to drill all the way because I was just making marks. Now I'm going to do the actual pre-drill, and I'm going to go at a pretty sharp angle. In this case, got my dust catcher there. These are going at slightly different angles each time, but they are coming from above each time. And I can feel that that's going into something solid. So we're going to assume that's wood. And now I'm going to put the bracket back up and put the screws in. I realized there is a good reason for these holes to be larger than a screw head, and that is these are very large. I mean, this is like a 18-inch shelf, so it's pretty heavy, and these need to be strong, so that gives you the option of using some large threaded like bolt screws. If you really wanted to support some serious weight, you could use some larger threaded bolt type screws. Anyway, that makes sense. I'll just have to get some washers for that, and I trust these screws. I'm not going to be putting a ton of weight up there. And these can go away now. You can see the dust. Anyway, see you next time. I ran back to the store and got 2 heavy-duty, thick screws with large heads just for the top 2. I'm going to replace that one, and then I've got washers here, so I can replace the bottom 2 and have washers. Just as a final thought, before wrapping this up, I replaced these top screws with those large headed bolt type screws, left and right, and then I put washers behind these screws, and I actually used new screws instead of the old ones again, because I feel like the more times you screw in and unscrew a screw, the slightly weaker it gets. So I did use new screws for those. And then you might notice these screws hanging down. Sorry, it's really dark in here, but I wasn't able to screw these in all the way. They were the shortest screws I had, and I went in at a steep angle as I could. That's just to make sure this board doesn't slip off. They do get quite a bit of vibrations in this room due to bands next door. I know the band right through this wall over here plays very, very loud. They sound amazing. They're called Haunted Horses, but their bass is very, very loud, and it does vibrate this whole room. So we want to make sure this doesn't vibrate and fall off these brackets. So if I had shorter screws, I would have gone straight in, but I didn't. I went in an angle, and they're still sticking out a little bit, but they're doing their job. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this how-to video. You can see there's quite a bit of dust on my dust catchers, and I just fold those up and throw them away. All right, see you next time.